Hi, welcome into today's class. I'm Kate, and today we're going to be foam rolling for the next 10 minutes. So grab any size of foam roller. I have a short one just because it's easier to maneuver with using one leg. Starting on my right thigh muscle, I'm just placing that foam roller underneath and I'm kickstanding my left leg off to the side. And then I'm coming into a plank position. Then let's roll forward and back, finding any spot that feels tender or that needs to be massaged out. Typically at the gym, you'll see a bunch of people roll forward and back on their thigh muscle. While this feels nice, it doesn't necessarily get rid of any muscle knots or achieve what most people are looking for. They're trying to prevent muscle soreness or get rid of their muscle soreness. So once you find a spot on your leg, we're going to bend the knee and flex the foot, and just firmly press down onto that foam roller. And then just find any natural breathing for you while we're holding this pose. As you're in this pose, you kind of might feel a need to move around. You can start to oscillate onto that muscle knot, maybe side to side or forward and back. And then we'll switch a spot on our thigh. So if you feel like you need to totally move the roller down, I felt like I needed to be closer to my knee, so just adjust where needed. Now let's repeat this process. Bend at the knee. And if you feel like you kind of need to get around your muscle, that's where we rock that foot from left to right to just find different sides of our muscle knots. It may take you longer or shorter to find your spot, but once you do, hold that pose for about 10 to 20 seconds, releasing your fascia. One time I went to a physical therapist who told me I needed to start foam rolling, and after 1 week of just doing this, my knee pain went away. So this is also just a great exercise to prevent or help your knee pain. As you can tell already, you could probably find 10 to 20 spots to foam roll out, so I tend to do this when I'm watching a show or a movie just because it feels very mindless and very easy to do. If you haven't already, you can try to find a third spot for a moment. We're only going to do about 3 times here on the thigh muscle, and then we'll switch. The next part of our leg will be our inner thigh. So find a tabletop pose, and then you'll place that foam roller in the same direction as your yoga mat is going or as your body is going. Bend your right knee and place it on top of the foam roller. 2 options here. You could lay face down if this is really intense, or you can come back onto your forearms. Roll side to side on the foam roller and find a spot that's tender. Most people will find knots closer to their kneecap or closer to their hip bone. Another option, rather than rolling it, is you can just take your hand and adjust your prop. Once you found a good spot, we're going to then rotate our shin bone, so lift our heel above and below our kneecap. Good, then find a spot that feels nice, and let's hold that pose for about 20 seconds. Close your eyes and start to deeply breathe, using your exhale breath to push your inner thigh against the foam roller. If you still haven't found a good spot, you can kind of oscillate again onto that muscle, kind of dig deep into your muscle fibers. And then rest down. You can rest your forehead on the mat and relax. If you haven't switched spots, go ahead and find a new spot here to release your muscle fascia. On your next inhale, you can come up into your seated position. And then we're just going to start this over again, this time starting on the left leg. So place that foam roller underneath your left thigh. Start to repeat the process of foam rolling forward and back, finding which part of the thigh muscle feels the most tender. Take your time here as we're foam rolling. If you're still needing more pressure, you can place the right leg on top of the left just to add more body weight to this exercise. Another bonus to this movement is that we're rocking forward and back on our shoulders, so it opens up our upper body and even activates the core a little bit more. This side definitely feels a little bit more sore, so I'm going to come down onto my chest and head. Remember, once you find that little knot in your muscle, keep breathing. A lot of people tend to want to hold their breath once they found their spot, especially if it's a little bit painful. Just like with our other leg, we're finding about 2 or 3 spots to foam roll. So if you haven't switched already, go ahead and switch. Good, and listen to your body. So my knee was kickstand out to the right, but I figured it might feel a little bit more comfortable now that I've found a good spot to lengthen that leg. Alright, if you haven't found a third knot, go ahead and find that here. So here I feel like I'm needing a little bit more pressure for the third time through, and I'm kickstanding my leg out to the right just so I can move forward and back. Alright, now let's switch to the inner thigh. Come into a tabletop position. Readjust your foam roller so it's facing the same direction as your body. And start your process all over again, finding your muscle knot, releasing your myofascia. Good, I'm going to leave you here in a moment of silence, sort of like our Shavasana, just so you can really listen to what your body is trying to tell you and move accordingly. Try to find 2 or 3 muscle knots to foam roll out. Alright, go ahead and find your last few moments here on this side. And start to release. If you are on your chest, lift back up into that tabletop and come into any seated position that's comfortable. Remember to like and subscribe this video. Thank you for practicing with me today. Namaste.